Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order at 7:31 PM. Anyone want to make changes to the agenda? No? Okay, the agenda is accepted as written. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Privilege of the floor. All right. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of September 10th? Or anybody want to make changes to it first, or will we accept them as written?
As written.
Thank you, Norma. A second.
Could I just say one thing?
Sure.
In the committee, it talks about reminders for the Sunshine Committee dues. It's not really dues.
Donation.
It's just donations.
Okay. Yeah, you want to change the word dues to donations, please? That's good. Thank you. Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you. So we'll have Norma and Jim. All in favor as amended?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, thank you. The minutes are accepted for September 10th. May I have a motion to accept the minutes for September 17th? The work session. Bernie and Norma. All in
Keep it
favor?
moving. Let's keep
What's
moving. No.
Okay. All in favor?
This way.
Yes.
I was there.
I know. You're the only one looking at me.
I
there.
You have to abstain.
So Jim abstains because he wasn't there, but everyone else apparently is all for it. Okay.
I was looking at the
That's fine. Riveting.
plan to, no, to make sure that it was correct and
Oh,
because
thank you.
it was part of the.
It was. We'll be dealing with that. Exciting. Okay. Thank you. It's you're up, Jack.
Oh.
Treasurer's report.
Thank you. Evening, everybody.
Hi, Jack.
I have the reports for the first quarter, I guess, the end of September, the fiscal year. And if you'll notice that it says budget, real property taxes in September. We were supposed to get last year we got it like September 29th or 30th. We did get it this year, but it was October 3rd. It was last week, so it's just flipped by 1 month. We got our big check the other day, a few days ago. So just ignore that it's $587,000 under budget because it was a few days after that. The library charges are continuing to do fairly well compared to where they were at like 6-7 months ago. We're almost hitting our $2,000 a month budget goal. The salary line again for the month of September was under budget by $1,415. So year to date we're running almost $3,000 under budget. But now the future months will all be reflecting the fact that we're open on Sundays. So it'll probably be closer to being on budget from here on in. I did manage to enter some of the books, the Baker and Taylor bills for the adult books, teen and juvenile, but they're not fully entered as usual. So they're probably on budget when that's accounted for. And I don't think we've had anything that stands out as being out of whack, more or less. Year to date, we're total 268 spending, 277 budget, so we're 9,000 under budget. So when you add in those book bills, we're probably right on budget, I would say. Hence where we thought we would be with the tighter budget. And as I had mentioned, we got our tax check the other day, minus the TAN and interest, and we're going to move that money and put some of it into the Orange County Trust to earn a little higher rate. And the October loan payment was made on October 1st, and the loan is now down to $218,699.20. So we're pretty much where we thought we would be at this point.
Thank you. Any questions for Jack?
They- I have one, but it's in Matt's report. So should I wait for Matt's report to come up?
Yeah, that's probably good. Then we
Okay,
can discuss
it's
it.
it's regarding monies, so.
But is it a question
Is it
directly
a
to
budget
Jack
line
to
item?
answer?
So is it for Jack to answer or for Matt, you think?
For Matt,
Okay,
okay.
all right. Well, may I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Thank you. This is Keith and Jim, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 0. Thank you. Okay, thank you,
Okay,
Jack.
great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, have a great night, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, director's report, well, committee reports. Is there, aside from Jim collecting donations for the Sunshine Committee, is there any other committee news this evening? No.
We're gonna be reviewing the additional building repairs, such as people have noticed, I'm sure, the flashing on the brickwork outside. I don't think it made it to the report last time, or even if it did, it wasn't stressed. Just gonna make a short list of additional. Some of it's cosmetic, but that flashing, of course, has got to do with water. And I think Matt will go into. They extended, they augmented the gutters a little bit. To protect against some rainfall that was happening in the bathroom. Right. So
Rainfall in the bathroom?
Well,
Is that- you said rainfall in the
it was
bathroom?
accumulating on the roof and coming
Dripping into
in.
the
So, and likewise, some of the gutters are also rusted. That didn't make into any previous reports. So we're just going to be doing another once over for the building just to see what else non-major that we might have missed
Okay,
at some point soon.
thank you. Anyone else?
The Friends would not really be a committee.
Well, I think now is it says
Okay.
other, so we could probably tag that in there.
Well, we had that Clear the Shed book sale last Friday,
Yeah, how did you do that?
and it was unbelievable. It was over $450.
Wow, that's great.
With the average price of what, $1 or $2
Yeah,
per
50
book?
cents.
Well,
a
$1 for the
$2.
hardcover, 50 cents for the.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
terrific.
incredible.
The junior friends had a bake sale. They made about 50, I guess.
Oh, nice.
And I guess what's happened is because it was here, the friends bought some more folding tables, so there were more tables outside, and so you could bring more books out, and then they organized them so clearly. You know, there'd be a table with just all mysteries, or all romance, or whatever the genre was. And of course, everybody that walks up and down that walk is interested in books. That's why they're there.
Sure.
And they just couldn't resist. They just started
Very
buying books. So we
Great.
may have to rethink. The Friends may have to rethink next year. If we leave the farmers market, we leave. We're like a flying flag out there for the library, which is a good thing, but it's a lot of work and make about $100.
Mhm.
Do it here, and it seems like it's so much more successful. So I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe it's a nice
interesting.
problem to have.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Jim. Any other committee reports? Alrighty. Director's report.
Good evening, everybody.
And that,
I continue investigating the insurance situation. I contacted both Season School District and New York State Library Association. As far as employee contributions and such, my proposal last time around was wildly out of sync with what everyone else is doing, 25%. Contributed by the employee, 75. Do you remember this? The individual versus the family. So first off, let me say the premiums that we're paying are around the average of the school districts. I don't know what their plan versus our plan is. I'm just looking at numbers. I'm not looking at the actual,
Sure.
I'm looking at figures rather than the actual plans. But so I think the last, I think our best bet is to try to go through NILA, the New York State Library Association, possibly. So I've taken everything that I've received from their benefits package that they make available to all New York State libraries. Not all of them participate, but it's available on that scale. And I've sent everything that they've sent me over to the person that brokers our insurance to have them look at that and actually investigate not just the cost to the employer, but actually what the plans, the value of your buck in that particular plan. So It's a pretty, as you can imagine, it's a pretty labyrinthine process, but I have gathered at least a lot of information, preliminary stuff, and I should have, a better idea by next month of what we might want to do. We may even want to do this by subcommittee, once I get some more information back from our broker, just to look through what the available plans are. It looks like, as I say, I was pleased to see that we weren't out of line. I mean, what we offer is basically, a few dollars different than what Goshen School District offers to their teachers and clerical staff. But I'll let you know as more information comes in. I'd also like to, originally the plan was to go to RCLS, but I figured since the state already has something in place before I go pitch it to RCLS, because it's going. My fear is that, not my fear, but my sense is that they're going to resist somewhat because they're not going to want to deal with having to be the source of managing the whole, for 40 libraries. It doesn't mean they won't do it if there's something in it for them, if they feel like they're, if by doing so they get some kind of cut rate as well, but.
I'm not sure I understand that. We're talking about how much they contribute to their medical plan.
Right.
How does RCLS?
Well, the idea
involved?
was if we could, the more the merrier. If you can get a higher head count, we might be able to negotiate a
larger
better
group.
deal.
Oh.
So that's why I thought, well,
So if we went through
Okay.
RCLS, then it would be hopefully all of the
Right.
member libraries, and then that would be a stronger negotiating point for better rate and better benefits or whatever.
the question is the administration of it, whether RCLS would want to take over something like that,
Right.
dealing with that part. But
But you're
But if
saying
the
that
state
they have
has something
people.
in
They
place.
have people that contribute a certain percentage,
Sure, so,
and we're trying to come to the same level, so it's easy to manage and it's spread around and maybe it comes down. I mean,
Right.
full cost to us comes down from
right,
economies of scale.
right, exactly.
Okay.
Because I think that the way it works now, I mean, it's funny. I did some research today, just in general, after I talked to the people at NILA, and I came across I'm sure there are more, but I was able to identify one system out in like Wisconsin that does this. Where the system, it's a county system, whatever it is, takes care of it for all the member libraries. But I think like it's a patchwork here. I don't think any of the libraries go in together as a. Whereas at school districts with BOCES, they all have the same. They're all kind of enveloped under BOCES plan, and they have 15 different choices they can take from that menu. I think the libraries just do it one off. Everybody has their own. And it does make sense that if you can kind of group
Pool
together,
it
there must be
together.
ways.
So we just pass along the funds to them to pay,
Right,
and that's the only involvement.
right.
Aside
I would
from
imagine.
economies of scale for
right,
additional.
but they would benefit too of being
Yeah,
part of
so-
the,
Okay.
but
the
I don't know how
overall-
big
that should be
right,
easy
who knows how
enough.
big a production it is to do it, and it's just, nobody's undertaken it yet.
Right.
How much was the family plan? 25?
How much percentage paid?
No,
in?
how much was a family plan? Like, compared, end of it, was it $25,000 a year or 20?
I don't know offhand. I'd have to look again. I should have brought that with me. I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no.
But there's
You
two,
don't
there's
think
two
that would
more.
No, you're talking about how much
Annually.
it would cost for
For,
a family plan. 25,000
No,
probably
no,
approaches
no.
the salary of some people.
No, it's
No.
It's not near that.
No.
Well, there's two things here. One is the rate that's paid for the service, and the other is what
Right.
percentage of that rate should be paid by the employee.
Right.
Right.
Now, in regard to BOCES, do you recall, just off the top of your head, what percentage BOCES people are contributing toward the
It-
100%?
Well, what I have is a list of the school districts, and so it would be dependent on each, the contract that they have. But it was roughly, I'd say 98% was the school and 2% was the employee, or it would be 97 and 3. At the most, you saw 10% contribution from the employee.
Mhm. So the vast majority is still
Yeah.
doing the historic with it. At one time, the districts paid 100,
Right,
Mhm.
and
now
now
they're
it's
down
chiseled
to
away. Right.
somewhere in the 90s.
Yeah.
Because both, if you skip the schools and just go directly to what the BOCES people pay, it's usually the average of the schools.
Oh,
If
I
you
see.
say so.
Okay.
So that probably the
So it's
BOCES people are
95
paying around
and
95.
Say
or
something
Yeah.
like that. That sounds
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
Um,
Which is what we're having them contribute 4%?
Well, individuals right now are 100%. We pay the whole thing.
right.
But
And
families, they
families,
contribute.
they contribute 25%. And we do
That
75.
must be where the 25 came from, I think.
No, I just didn't know how much family plan was now.
Oh.
Yeah, my head's swimming with figures, but I could show you when we leave if you like to see
Yeah.
that.
So it's
So,
to be continued.
to be continued.
Yeah, we don't have enough
Yes,
information to make a decision yet.
It's surreal. I mean, that's why I finally decided after doing some poking around just to talk to the person that does our healthcare, because it really is it's just a vast undertaking to even understand what you're comparing after a while, you know. So I'll let you know what I find out. Other than that, you see here that we've received some money from.
That's nice.
I'll let you know. All I have so far is a letter from the lawyer saying that it's still.
That's cool.
So we're gonna, I assume we're gonna promote that, we're gonna
As
let
long
the
as they
community
are
know.
all right with it. They didn't say anything about anonymity, so.
Yeah, you better,
Make sure.
I guess, clarify that, but even if they say, we could still
We
announce
can- right,
that
that we
anonymously,
Yeah.
We
there are
received it.
people out there who include us in their wills,
Right.
and
Mhm.
we have recently received $3,000, and we think this is an awfully good way to support the library, and if you need help with that, we can provide
Estate
you-
planning, I believe it's called. My church, they call it estate planning.
Yes.
There you go. Remember us when you're filling out your will.
Oh,
And is there anything, I'm sorry, just
Sure.
to follow up on that, just again, I'm thinking of trying to call attention to it so that people get this bee in their bonnet, as people used to say. Is there anything that we need to purchase for the library which costs about $3,000, which could have a little
sort of naming it. right?
name, and
Hmm.
we could have it's like a
Yeah, that's
Mm.
nice.
Like
fall-
nice
you know,
Yeah.
a water fountain. I don't know what it would
Yeah,
be,
right,
but
right.
some-
Yeah,
there's
right.
something.
Sure. Yeah, let me think
That,
about that. That's a good
That's an
idea.
interesting.
How about it could be something as simple as
Generator?
saving the cupola.
Name the
Right.
people
Yeah, right,
after.
right. All right. We could do
Because the
something like
cupola, we know we're gonna have expenses with that
that. Sure.
because of the leak.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be
Okay.
something along those lines, just to, again,
Do
Yeah,
we,
that's a
do we
good
know
one.
her? Do we know how she was
Right.
involved?
Yeah, it'd be awfully nice to
in
know.
any way?
if
No
someone
idea.
I'll ask her.
could
now.
tell us
Yeah.
about who this person is.
And
They had
why
it,
she was so
they
nice
just
to us.
arrived in the mail, no letter, no,
Well,
Just
there's
the-
no
A
check
letter
at this
from
point.
lawyer.
we haven't gotten a check.
From
It's
an
a letter
attorney.
from a lawyer letting
That's
us know
nice.
we've been named in her will.
Yeah, not even really any narrative, just sort of a list of the
Just a-
various things that she bequeathed to different, and we were among them, so.
and this is a name we've never, I mean,
No,
I'm a
I mean-
relatively new Goshenite, so I've only been here
Yeah,
17 years, so.
Or Google her.
Yeah, knows who she is.
So yeah, the building, it was raining, almost to September, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And on one of those rainy days, it started leak. Remember a couple of years back, Danny had patched that same place in the restroom, and it happened to happen right above the toilet. So it was, we need to put a bucket out, but we did have to close close the bathroom. And Danny went up on the roof. I just held a ladder and I kind of supervised, prayed. And, you know, he said it was pooling up on, obviously it was pooling up there, but he couldn't see anything, he looked around. So he came up with the idea that, and I kind of second guessed it in my mind, but it worked, that a lot of the water was sort of coming from various angles on the roof and spilling onto that part. So it was not just the rainwater that was falling, but it was kind of collecting from other areas. And so he went out and got a long piece that's still sort of sticking off the side. It doesn't look very good, but it worked. He got another leader and kind of rigged it up so that water that was coming down went into that off the roof. Now, obviously, if it rains hard enough, it's not going to help because of, but even in kind of showers and stuff, it would start to gather there because the roof's a wide area and it would just all come down to that one place. But the last few times it rained, it was dry as could be. So it seemed to work. He wants to get up there and retar it one of these days, like he did last time, when he has the time. But I mean, it rained a lot over the last couple of weeks, and it was fine. So I don't know. We do have to repair the little hole in the ceiling now. Just a cosmetic thing, but I'll keep you apprised. What else? Let's see. Oh, Martin went into the attic and looked around over the main room. This is the drip we've been hearing for years. And it was around, he said it wasn't pouring in, but it was raining hard that day, but it was definitely water was collecting around the perimeter of that cupola in different places, and that's why, I mean, it makes sense because it's directly beneath that. But he said he doesn't have the facility to deal with something like that on the roof, so he gave me the names of some people I called, and they only dealt with stone. Jim gave me a name, and they never got back to me. But they're very busy, chimney sweeps, so.
Yeah, they're busy. It's called Men at Work,
Right.
and they solved a leak problem that we had.
That was similar, I mean, we say.
Similar, yes.
So I left a message.
I had someone who came and did the same type of work because I had water in my attic as well from a chimney.
Okay.
They're right on Murray Avenue.
Oh, yeah.
The firemen,
Oh, yeah, I know he was, but he said he can't do
Oh.
it. He's got too much
Joe,
overtime. He
he's
sent
in,
me the Men at
Joe
Work.
Aronson?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's in,
Yeah.
yeah.
oh, is it, what is it for? No.
Oh, I forget.
All hands chimney?
It's all
Yeah, I think
Yes,
it's Joe's.
they did a
Yeah.
fantastic
Yeah.
job.
Really?
Fantastic job. I mean, it's
Yeah, if you
dry
can
as a
get
bone
him.
now.
But I went to
Okay,
him and he
Joe.
said he
Yeah.
just is
I put a call into to another guy in Goshen.
forced with, it's, I forget the term, it's something of a union term, like unregulated overtime, or he has to do this overtime, I said, he's just too busy.
That's too bad. He's good.
For my own chimney.
They sent an official closing doors. What's the name of that?
All
All
hands.
Okay.
They're right on Murray Avenue.
Okay.
The van is usually parked in the driveway. That's why I was driving by one day and I stopped and I copied the number. But they were very thorough.
Okay.
And I think they're all firemen who work.
Yep.
Four firemen, I think, is the company.
Okay.
And then they were extremely thorough
That's
and
great.
just gave me a lot of literature about what they were doing and
Okay.
guarantees on their work, and
Right.
I was very pleased, and not very expensive.
Not very
either.
expensive?
Nope,
We like
not
that.
very
Less than
expensive.
500.
I'm sorry.
Less than 500.
We have a lot of honest carpenters around here because another guy called coming this week. He's like, he said, I'll come by and I'll look. I know that building. He said, I'll take a look at it, but I can't promise you I can do it either. I'll see what it looks like and I'll let you know if it's something I can handle. So
Mm.
he's supposed to come
That's
this
good.
week, but if that doesn't work, I'll try again.
Yeah.
We'll see what he says. Let's see. The catalog problem. I don't have to go over that again. We're having some issues with our catalogs. It's really an RCLS problem, or a Microsoft version problem, I guess you could say. XP catalogs will, people get on to log on to get a book or something,
Right.
those 3 packs,
And they
and
don't
then
log
they
out.
don't log out. And it would be nice if there was an automatic, something that after a certain amount of time timed out and restarted it.
That's not a Microsoft issue.
No.
That's the system.
That's just not. So, but David came up with a fix that I think is working, which was nice. Took him a while. It wasn't easy.
So, wait, but isn't it they log on to the system, the catalog? You're
Yeah,
talking to a
our
session
catalog.
on Windows?
No, in the catalog, in the catalog.
In the catalog, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that program that they're logging on to.
It was the browser.
Right.
It's Firefox, right? That was
Right.
not.
It's the browse. They're using the browser to access the catalog
Right.
on the web.
So what do you log them off of?
It basically kills Firefox. It closes out and then
Oh,
brings
that
it back
does
up.
Okay.
That's it.
Well, it's still an issue on their
Yeah.
side that you've provided a fix for outside of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
They know of this issue?
They do now. I haven't heard back from them, but
Walk away, you get locked out.
Friends are on a roll again. Every fall they start. I didn't get to see this, but I saw a few of Ed Connor's other presentations and I imagine it was interesting.
I didn't know. I just saw it at the bookstore. Well, not the bookstore, Linda's.
And the antique appraisal attracted, I think, about double the year before.
Yeah, it was very busy.
So that's good news. And Clear the Shed, Jim already stole my thunder on that. I was ending my. I was going to say they made 500. I was going to just exaggerate.
Round
Somewhere
up.
between 40 and 50.
Yeah, but it was good. I was amazed at how many people came through.
And they're showing the film October 20th. The last 2 dairy farms in the town of Goshen. Going to be at 10 o'clock in the morning at the Main Street School. That should interesting to see what community reaction is to that.
Any word on Willie?
Nothing yet. We're hoping.
Sit 10 o'clock for the showing.
10 o'clock, yeah. I had a question about personnel, just in
Sure.
general. In looking for full-time people and looking for part-time people and subs and so on, do you list as one of the desired criteria to be bilingual to also speak Spanish? Because we are running out into
Yes,
a
we-
community that is in need of the use of the library and the Spanish
Definitely.
speaking.
We haven't, but we we definitely should. I mean, Michelle's even suggested I buy a Rosetta Stone,
Yeah.
just
One of
for
them.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is,
I said
exactly.
them too.
Just to get, just to get the basics. And Michelle has a kind of a liaison that Rosa that she works with that's helped out a lot. But we've definitely it's interesting because the number of people coming in the last few weeks. Of Hispanic origin, mostly I think Mexican. 5 or 10 people every day in here, sitting together, talking with their kids. And it's great.
I was here Saturday, and there were quite a few
Yeah.
families with little ones.
Right.
So-
And Michelle and I are just like, I don't know how to even explain this simply, how to say where the bathroom is, so yeah, we definitely
Maybe
have
we
to-
should advertise for a part-time.
Well, we have one
person.
woman that works down here. She's a page, but she's also helped us out a lot. And Michelle's kind of strategically, scheduled her to get here at times when she can be of assistance. So, and I don't know what's shifted all of a sudden because we've made efforts before, outreach efforts, and they just kind of fell flat. So I don't know. Something's changed. It's definitely.
Maybe start thinking about the questions that one might ask normally throughout the course of the day by our patrons, and look up how to, what those are in Spanish and what the answers would be in Spanish.
Right. I think there are some products out that are geared toward libraries, and that could.
Or go to Babbel.com or whatever,
Yeah.
on one of those sites. Have them go over to the terminal, type the question in Spanish, convert it.
You have to be careful with those sometimes because they make very literal
Yeah, they do.
translations.
You betcha.
And sometimes at work, I'm handed a letter to proof before it goes off to a parent. That is very much a legal document, and I look at it and I said, well, I don't know what this says. Let me give me the original, because it's very, very literal. So half the time you're just, you're talking, the letter is talking about a table when you're talking about a record and, that kind of thing. So you have to be careful.
Well, funny you should mention translating because we thought of you as maybe you could help us out. with
I
some of
saw
that.
Michelle's report, and
I
I've
saw-
offered in the past to translate flyers, so
Yeah.
just ask her to email them to me. Give me a couple of days before she wants to put them up, and I'll translate them and email them back to her.
Okay, thank you.
And I'll use the vernacular, not
Right.
not my mother's Spanish. I just have a couple of questions, Matt,
Sure.
for you. One question and one follow-up to Jim's idea regarding the generous donation. $50,000 county funding? Just in case somebody looks at this and says, oh, you guys get also
that's-
county funding? Just,
Yeah.
what is it?
How much do we get? You mean?
No, I mean,
No, explain it.
yeah.
It's just a county grant. Something we get every year for anything.
We don't get 50,000.
No, we get
Right, that's
a
the
percentage
point.
of that.
Right, it's
Okay.
50,000
Yes,
for the
portion of
entire
the 50.
county.
Okay.
Yeah,
Our
yeah.
portion.
Right.
Yes.
What is our
Spread 'em
portion?
out.
Okay.
Okay.
Different libraries. I'm
Because
not-
I saw that and I'm like,
Okay.
oh,
I gotta lock the door. I'm a reference librarian as well. Give me a couple.
oh,
Just give me a
okay.
minute.
So our portion might be 1,000.
It's probably about
Right.
1,000.
Right.
I believe it is,
50,000
yeah.
for the whole county,
Okay.
right. Yeah, because it's, it looked like, oh, $50,000.
Yeah,
That's, if somebody questions that, they're
Oh, no, right,
Why are you guys,
Because we're sharing it with
the
the whole
secret
county,
fund,
that's what-
the
yeah, yeah.
secret $50,000
Yeah.
fund, so.
Because we're gonna buy
Non-existent.
We'll have a big part of it.
The other thing was to follow up on Jim's idea of, for using the donation is, if we use the money for whatever purposes, the cupola or something, maybe we should develop, something that I've seen in other places is, like a plaque, and every time they get a donation from someone, they add their name to the plaque and the year it
So-
was received.
it's one of those big plaques where
Yeah,
a
you-
brass plate each
Yes,
side?
Mhm.
yes, because that can travel eventually to a new building,
That's a good idea, instead of affixing it to whatever was fixed in this building.
because it'll
Right.
stay.
Right,
You know, I
exactly.
mean, we could use the money to
Right.
fix the cupola, but something public, marketing,
Right, excellent. So we would have a big plaque as you walk in,
yeah.
generous donations and whatever.
And people might see that and say,
Or,
oh, I want my name
or
up there too.
gratitude for
Mm.
for something along those lines. Yeah, that's a great
Just
idea.
Well,
a
a lot
PR
of
thing.
libraries have a capital campaign that's ongoing. It's an annual thing. And we had one when we were trying to build the library out there, and then that fell apart. And then all the money that was contributed, as I understand it, was used to pay for the promotion of that.
A lot of that money was just pledges and never actually.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of it was pledged.
Yeah, it's
Was that?
fair.
But there were
Yeah, right. A lot of
thousands
it
of
wasn't
dollars
received.
that was received. That were
Yeah,
received.
it was. There were so much more in pledges than what was actually
Right.
received,
Right.
and then there
Some
was.
was returned.
And right, I was just going to say there was one
Oh, yeah.
very generous donation that was spread out over years, and we only used part of it and returned the balance of it, and then because we didn't follow through with the building of a new library, they can't. So
Right.
on paper, it looked like we were going to get hundreds of thousands of dollars. It didn't. It translated to what, 30 maybe, and,
It didn't pan out.
and most of it went for the original.
Architectural.
Right, architecture
Letterhead and
fees,
drawing.
letterheads, and things like that.
Mailings and
Right, and a majority of it never
investigations.
even was just pledged and never was received, and what was received got returned. So,
But
I mean,
may-
it's not that a capital fund is
Right.
not a good idea. I'm just saying,
right.
that's
just
what became
bring
the
Matt
previous
to
one.
I was just saying, and for the, maybe we can come up with a plaque, that acknowledges donations as we receive. Because I remember we received another, I think it was $500 or something a
Mhm.
while back. I mean, every little bit that the library get, it's
We do have a
extremely
sort of a
appreciated.
memory book.
Yeah, well, everything gets, right.
Yeah, but I think
But you want something that
we want
people-
something public.
I'm
So
saying
that
that's
people-
what's in place now.
Right. So when
That's
people walk
amazing.
into the library, they see a plaque with our gratitude for
Mhm.
generous donations, whatever
Yeah.
name, and
Or anon.
even anonymous, whatever.
Yeah, if they want to remain anonymous, that's fine,
Right, that's
but
fine.
just
So
if,
people know
you
what
know.
happens.
Hmm?
Right, so people do
Yeah.
donate, so
Yeah,
people
we were up at the Fenimore Library last week, and they have this big plaque in the.
Hmm,
It is in Cooperstown, the art.
yes.
Right, right.
And the highest category was 25,000, and I think there were three names, which surprised me. I would think there would be a lot more than three. And then it was like 10,000, 5,000, and then
Right.
everybody. I guess the minimum was 1,000
Okay.
to get your name.
Well,
But it was nice,
That
get
is
some
nice.
acknowledgement. So,
It's something that could travel to the new building, so
Right.
that people can always see,
Sure. Yeah, right.
the donations. So that's
a
something
nice
for
idea.
you to think about. And Michelle can get in contact with
Yes.
you?
Okay, anything else on the director's report?
Well, I think it's worthwhile to keep track of. Michelle talked about having to turn people away from some of these programs. I mean, the success of the program caused so many people to show up that she couldn't fit them all. I think it's a good something to keep track of as when we do start pursuing a new building and the reasons behind said building,
Right.
that we have some of these things.
Around
To
the list
sign,
of
Documented.
how it happens.
Yeah.
and-
I had a question about the lottery system. It would seem to me the people that sign up first shouldn't have to go into a lottery. Because that way, somebody can sign up the day before and be in the group, and someone that signed up a month earlier is out because their number didn't come up. I just wondered why you use a lottery rather than.
Yeah,
First come, yeah.
have to check. I'm not sure how that came about, the
Yeah.
system, but
Yeah.
what the rationale is. I'll ask her.
Maybe the waiting list could be the lottery.
Yeah.
If they start developing
Yeah.
a waiting list, I don't know.
Sure.
Or, no, actually, No, because if you're number one on the waiting list, then you
Right.
should be number one in getting in. Yeah,
Right.
true. Never mind.
Yeah.
They're pretty sophisticated down here with what they do. So I'd be surprised if there's not a reason something came up, some reason, you know. But I'll look into it. You know what I mean? They seem like they're always refining things to get them to work smoothly. So I'd be surprised if there's not something behind that. But I'll check.
I got two questions. One for David. Did you get I left a voicemail for you one day that I was experiencing an outage, RCLS. Was there any like short or something about going to the RCLS page, trying to get into the catalog, and it just wasn't responding? It was in the middle of the day, like 11 o'clock, 11 or noon one time.
It might. I did get your voicemail. It was actually from a day I wasn't here, but
Okay.
I didn't hear anything about an outage.
Okay, all right. So just it wasn't anything long term then. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's fine. And the other thing is, did you want to talk about the fire marshal
Oh, the walkthrough.
walkthrough?
I haven't gotten anything back from them yet, so, but they did come, they come manually, obviously,
Yeah.
from BOCES, walk through the building. They mentioned a couple of things that they wanted us to at least look at. One of the three I was able to do right off the bat was, we had a plug going into, the plug for the copy machine was going into a power strip. Bernie knows more about electricity than I do, but we couldn't find all the ratings for everything, and since we could just plug it straight into the wall and we had a little workaround, we did that. We did what they wanted us to do without worrying about, you know. But they also said it'd be helpful to, if we had, the front door has the book drop on the outside, so you can only go out one side. It has, actually, if you're looking at it from inside looking out, you have a case of CDs, then you have a copy machine, and then through the other door you have, right.
Right,
So
it's
effectively you
narrow,
have
actually.
one side,
Very
and they were
narrow.
hoping that we might be able to figure out a way. All of that
Use
stuff is
both doors.
movable, but it's just finding space for it, you know, it's not like, and the reason that the book drop is upward is because it's sort of protected from the elements there. It would still be under a roof if it were moved forward and down onto that next, but it would not be quite as protected, so we'd have to think about how to deal with that.
The books that are for sale in the lobby there, they're not in the way?
No, the door can open,
Okay.
I think the door can pretty much open at least 90% of the way to get through it. I'd have to try it, actually. I don't think I've ever
Sure.
opened that door.
I don't know.
But then Bernie made mention that there are, obviously specifications for all this stuff, and the thing to do would be to probably figure out, the square footage of the building, space, occupiable space, and then the egresses, measuring the doors and see how, if you have, and there must be some ratio, if you have X amount of square footage for people, and how much, space you have to egress the building in an emergency. And if you're within that, then you probably don't have to deal with the, this is, I can't say that they said it had to be done. They said it'd probably be smart to have it done. It's not like a pass-fail thing. It'd probably be a safer
It's
situation
a
if you
good and a
can.
best, that kind
Right.
of a thing.
It's the sense that I got, but I haven't been able to yet. That's going to be a little bit before I can find out those specs for the building versus.
Yeah, we got 4 exits in terms of emergency exits. So I
Right.
think the signs that are posted up in the library saying occupancy by more than such and such is
Right.
prohibited,
Right.
maybe based on our current, that door is always blocked.
Right.
It might be based on that door is being blocked, period, and whether or not we want to have more people in or we need to,
And Bernie made the good point
could
that
lead us
often
one way or another.
in
So.
buildings that have double doors like that, usually you encounter one side is locked while the other's open. So that definitely is something to look into.
Anything else?
You made reference to that, where people return books when
Yeah, the
when
book
the
drop.
library
Yeah.
is closed. When the library is open, it's covered with that hood,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that is a little bit confusing to some people. I was wondering if on the hood itself, if you just got some of those letters that you glue on, it says library is open.
Okay.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Because I think when you glance at that, it certainly gives the appearance of everything's closed up,
Right.
Right.
There we go.
like Fort Knox or something.
Yeah.
But just library is open, people will see that. Oh, okay.
Right. Okay. Could do that.
That's a good idea. Okay. All right.
I think that's it.
All right then, let's move on to unfinished business. Now, the long-range plan is kind of an outline. I don't know how detailed it really needs to be, or how much more detail you want to put in it, but I think more than just a bullet list is called for.
I did we had homework from our last meeting. He wanted us to write something up.
Yes, I did. I forgot, I'm sorry. You're so good, Mom.
Huh?
You're so good.
We had homework. I do my
know.
homework.
I know, you're so good. You're good.
One thing I wanted to mention, because it's only one thing, if I can jump up ahead, is when we were at RCLS at the breakfast, it occurred to me that if we do a couple of things to aid RCLS and their funding, it would benefit us as well. I don't know how we could go about that, but as they are our shared services, like part of the problem RCLS has is they're not getting full funding from the state.
Sure.
So even people who are fond enough of the library that can go to our legislators, and walk into their building or send letters or emails or whatever, and saying, hey, you know, support our libraries.
That
The more
a
people.
job for the Friends.
Yeah, well, and everybody. If we,
No, but I'm just saying.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's more. I
It's
think
a large
bigger than the
large enough
board.
force.
It's
Yeah.
it's more of fans of the library kind of activity.
Sure. Yeah. So,
But yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good thing.
okay.
I just put that together from the notes that I was taking. I
Sure.
don't know if I have everybody's ideas in there, or
That's fine.
because then I saw Carol's and I thought, oh, okay, I think I have most of it, but
Yeah.
perhaps not.
It does. Yeah. What?
Matt's didn't have dinner yet.
You guys are good for that one?
No.
Yes.
This is very, very good, I think, and very helpful. Just a couple of very, very minor things. It says embark on repairs, which implies that we haven't started that.
Oh,
and we
okay.
have started that, so continue maybe to
Sure.
make repairs. Somehow to change that first word. And then in the middle there, where we list all those things that we can do to reach out to the community, the very last one, it really is, it's important, but it's really not a reaching out to the community, it's something else. It's trying to, unless I misunderstood what it's saying.
I'm sorry, which one?
Teach
Teach
patrons.
patrons? Oh, okay, that's something that came up
Yeah, that came
Right.
up with
because people
about
were
making the
spending
library
time or
more,
something.
user friendly.
Yeah. So what was it? I can't
But
remember.
that
what
would
it
be different than promoting the visibility of the library.
was. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where would we put that
Well, we
then?
probably need another category,
Yeah.
Well,
another goal,
yeah.
just to,
Do we remember? Let's go back. Do we remember how that came up? Was there was there an
Yeah.
issue with patrons
Yeah,
with the
we-
e-books or something?
It was brought up at least once where people would come in with whether their Nook or their Kindle,
Right.
and
Right.
they try to get answers from people here on how to download books or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I don't think, my sense of it was we our employees don't necessarily know how to do it, how to help their patrons.
Okay.
And it certainly makes sense that we do
Sure.
know how to do this to help them use our resources. And that's where it came from.
Right,
So
it
where
was,
do we put that?
Good question. It's
That's-
a community kind of.
Maybe
It's not really a marketing thing. It's
subtext.
more of a.
No, it's not.
Community involvement.
Patron.
It's
No, patron education.
Education.
Yeah.
Sure.
Patron education. Is that no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does that sound condescending?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Education.
Yeah, I don't think that one is not. It's not as nice
No,
as some
no.
other
Patron
ones.
encouragement.
There you go. No, I'm thinking user friendly, that kind of a thing. and,
Yeah.
well, we're
Yeah,
trying to
well,
help
teach-
patrons enhance their library experience, and
Right.
if
Sure.
they can use technology, then because one of the themes here is that there's a lot more technology, and not only are we trying to learn how to use it ourselves individually, but
Mhm.
the patrons are getting on the same
Right.
bus, so to speak,
Right.
that they have to learn too.
Yeah, and I think it also came up because we were discussing how many things the library does do that a lot of people don't know we have about.
Mhm.
We have almost as much in our digital, what do you call it, our digital shelves as we do on the physical ones, and I don't think most people realize that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think that's when we started discussing, because it also came up, because we kind of went back and forth, because
Well,
I know we were all over this. The 5-year plan about maybe we should invest in Kindles or Nooks, and remember, and then
Yeah.
we was like, well, how do we teach people how to use them? And then we got back into that discussion and kind of went all over the place.
So do we take that out?
no.
I think it's a good
part of
sentence,
what,
but I don't know
Where to put
where
it?
to put it.
Or either one.
I think it's an important point, and I did think it is.
Program development.
That sounds like an idea.
Yeah.
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 Ooh.
Nice.
Because I just have in my notes, how do we get people to use the programs that we offer?
Right.
That's the main
Right.
question.
Right.
That's how it
That's
came about.
right. Because we have all of the
Program development.
Right. Because we do have stuff.
Wave
and-
or-
so it's not outreach. It's
It's in reach.
It's its own
Do,
thing.
do you know how to do tables with Microsoft Word? I think it's called tables, where you have
I know how to type.
series.
Columns, you have columns.
It's-
and rows.
Yeah, the rows and columns, tables.
Spreadsheet?
They're called tables, right?
Oh,
Mhm.
So what the way tables work, you could have for each one of these, it could be almost looks like 4 columns, but they're actually boxes. And then so the first one, for example, request a full disbursement of funds. That would be in the first box in that line. Then the next box would indicate who is responsible to do this.
okay.
And for each of these, you would do the same thing.
Ah.
The third list of boxes would indicate when
By
this
when?
is to be
or
done.
What year?
Due date or, yeah.
The due date, and then, in other words, so for each one of these, you suddenly you have a plan that includes who's responsible,
Details.
when it's going to get done, what the follow-up is going to be.
And I'm sorry. Are we going to just leave it as tables, or is that just an organizational thing, just so we could write up a report, like an actual?
Well, I think it would be part of the strategic plan. would
Right.
be-
So to have.
we would have to fill in those boxes, basically.
Just bullet points.
Oh, yeah.
if you want
Do you see
more
committees being formed off of that, or there are committees in place
That
already
might-
that?
Well, we might assign it. The box might say who's responsible for that. The
Right,
building
because
committee,
we have like
or the
outreach to
personnel
different
committee,
groups. We have
Right.
a
Or it
community
might be the
resources
director.
committee, and who's responsible for
Right, yeah.
the
That makes sense.
building
If you-
repairs.
if
We
you,
have a physical
um,
resources committee. So yeah.
If you email this to me,
I shall.
I will try to put it into
Tabulate
tables.
it.
What was
Okay.
the fourth column you're talking about?
I don't think we came up with that.
I think it's when, isn't it?
By when? Or
Topic,
what year?
who's responsible, and when, and then was there a fourth?
I don't know.
I don't think we need a
Deadline? No
Do we have any
deadlines?
deadlines on this, really? I mean, it's not like.
I mean-
before it falls in on our head, like that's pretty much our
Those are,
deadline.
yeah,
Before it's
Well,
the obvious ones.
fine.
Yeah.
The first one definitely has a date because we're,
July
you know,
1st, right?
we're
That-
July.
that's- Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
we
Well,
have
for
to
How
example-
do
about
that.
goal?
The
You need
full
goal.
disbursement of the funds, that actual request should be made this fall. And then who's responsible? Probably Matt is going to have to get
Maybe there's
our-
funding.
our attorney
It's possible.
involved. And maybe our treasurer involved. But these are people that will be all involved in this.
Okay.
Sure.
And I guess resources would be one of the columns. What resources do you
Right.
need to
Right.
accomplish this particular item?
So why don't we tonight put in what else we want to appear, and
Sure.
then for next meeting you can have it in that table, thing,
I'll
yeah.
try. What I could
or
do-
whenever you know.
What I could do is, I could try to set the tables up, and then do a couple of samples, and then email it to everybody, and then everybody here can, on their own at home, write in what they think
Fill in.
belongs in the box.
Mhm.
Then next time we come back,
So next
we
meeting
can
we
discuss
Mhm.
whether that works or not.
That's a great idea. So now if we would include
program development.
Right, with the teach patrons.
Yeah.
Yeah, now on here, we have, our website and online marketing. Where did you,
I put it under outreach
yeah.
and also under, somebody had mentioned about developing, securing our wireless network. I don't-
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Take
looked
on
into
it?
that. Now,
Yeah.
here's, so I discussed this with my husband who does this for a living. They investigate. They actually just finished a case where somebody created a fake Facebook page in order to torment another kid at high school. Isn't that sweet? They weren't able to convict anyone because they narrowed it down to the IP address of a home, but couldn't narrow it down to a person. So because they can't narrow it down to an actual person and an actual computer, they can't make any kind of conviction. So if someone were to say, use our wireless to spam thousands of people, then the FBI would investigate and find out, damn, it was a library, and there isn't anything they can do about it beyond that. Unless they can narrow it down to that actual computer, they wouldn't hold us responsible for someone else using our IP address.
Yeah, no,
Follow?
yeah, but that's
So-
only part of it, though. We don't want somebody, say, moving in across the street and turning on their notebook and finding wireless access through our connection here. Could be many people over there. There's apartments, there's businesses.
Well, how
Latching
far,
on
how
to
far does
ours.
our wireless reach? I think I have a hard time getting it down here.
Yeah, realistically, maybe across the street.
Yeah, so I mean, I could
Realistically.
I could bring my laptop on a nice day and sit on the lawn and use the wireless.
Well, I mean, you
correct?
could test it. You could test, confirm. But,
we
you
don't
know,
need any
I don't know
disclaimer or
what's-
anything
We
like
don't
that.
need any disclaimer or anything like that. Well, I mean,
No,
you know,
it's just-
we can have our policies.
make
We
it
already
so
have our
easy?
policies. There's the other thing too, right? Right, but
No, seriously.
yeah, we wouldn't be held responsible for it. We also don't keep a record of anything anyone takes out. We don't keep a record of the websites they visit. Once people sign into the computers here, they use their library account number only to get access and only for the purposes of timing their time on the computer, because that's how we limit it. But we don't keep a record of the sites they visit. We don't keep a record of who takes what books out, which can be frustrating if you, like, did I watch that movie already or not? They can't look it up for you and you can't look it up yourself. That's the downside, but the upside, of course, is there are no records for anybody to subpoena on behalf of any member of the, because it's a freedom of speech thing that you can borrow whatever book you want, and nobody's supposed to keep records of that.
And besides, RCLS would have that covered anyway.
Yeah, there you go. but yeah, it's all,
Well, they call the action of driving into a urban area and using somebody else's Wi-Fi that has no password is called war driving.
Yeah.
In order to prevent war driving, we talked about at least putting a password on there, even if it's posted up inside the building, so that
yeah, but I mean,
it's almost like putting a Westinghouse security sign in front of your house when you have no security system. You know,
Sure.
it's going to make the thieves go to the house next door because they don't
Right.
have such a sign. You know.
Right.
Right.
Or if you live in the apartment across the street, you come in and get the number, go back and use
So
it.
if
And there's
they're
really
going to be,
Yeah,
hopefully
I mean, the
they'll
thing is
fill out a
that-
library card and then, have at
making
it.
something right.
They're actually a patron at that point,
Yeah,
and that's
right.
our goal. is to-
Making something difficult doesn't make it go away.
Yeah,
Making
it's
something
your
illegal
goal.
doesn't make
Yeah,
it
you
stop.
got more
you know?
outreach.
Right. So I mean, it's not as big a concern as we were worried it was at the
Yeah,
last
we
meeting.
wouldn't be liable, but
No, we wouldn't be,
Oh, no.
because that was, somebody brought it up, I can't remember, someone sitting in our library spamming thousands of people, and then
Right.
we'd be liable, but we wouldn't be. We- and-
Not liable, but we don't want it to happen on our watch.
We don't want it to happen on our watch, but we aren't responsible for what
No.
people do,
Yeah,
and
of
there's a
course.
certain amount of, these are adults, that's their computer, they can do as they please, as long as they don't violate the, no nudity in front of children thing that we have going on in the library.
Yeah. Plus, we
So-
should have a firewall blocking SMTP traffic anyway, email traffic anyway, going outbound email. So
Anyway.
If you use
Alright.
speedtest.net, you can download an app and then you can just, wherever you go on the property here, across the street, and just hit that button on your screen, and it gives you the strength of the signal,
Oh, cool,
and you'll know whether or not it's strong enough to.
right,
Yeah, he could just
It's a
walk
free
out,
app.
yeah,
with his notebook and look at
yeah, you can do it, yeah.
how the
The,
strength is.
So we're develop a secured wireless network
Yeah,
out?
that's
Well,
not, that's
we need
really
to look
not
into
as,
it. We should look into it and see, see how far you could gain access to our wireless network. If you've not done that already, I'm hearing it hasn't been done, just to see.
Yeah, and also,
We know what goes on, Bernie and I, we've
Yeah.
dealt with this ourselves, and
mhm.
Yeah, if we can implement like one more access point for
It's no
a
big
couple
deal.
$100 and improve people's
and there's that
access,
too.
Mhm.
but then just add a one
Yeah.
password that's well, we just improved it, but this is what you get instead. And
Mhm.
people who gripe
Yeah.
walk over to the front desk and get the password. Sorry,
Mhm.
that's deal. But,
Would they need to show that they are a patron
In
of
order to
this
get
library?
into the computer,
It's
you
whatever
have to
we.
You have to use your card.
You have to use
Yeah.
your,
think
right,
so.
so you can't get in unless you have a
But
library card anyway.
it's not required for
Physically in this
Wi-Fi.
building.
Is it required for Wi-Fi?
It's not.
It's
No.
not.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of the computers upstairs.
Yeah.
Yeah, then in that case, no. It's not.
So somebody could walk in and say, "Oh, there's the password." Let me go
Exactly.
back out.
Well, right,
Yeah.
and the thing
Yeah,
I'm
is,
not
so-
sure how is
right, but there's a certain amount, I mean, I understand if we were running a business and, if there's different, laws governing libraries because of freedom of speech and that we're tax money and all the rest of it. I don't know how much of a limit we're allowed to put on things like this. You
What
know,
limit?
like,
What do you mean, a limit?
I mean, you're talking about,
You're practicing security here.
you're talking
safe-
security in who's using our bandwidth or,
Yeah.
right. So security in who's using our bandwidth, the public bandwidth we pay for with tax money, that bandwidth.
Yeah, the
Right.
safeguarding.
Right, but my
What our
point is,
taxpayers
right,
pay
it's the
for.
library and I don't know if the law's even caught up with what we are and are not allowed to control.
We're not talking about laws here. We're talking
No,
about
you're
basic
talking-
security.
You're
That's
talking,
done at any business you'll go
right,
to.
but we're not a business, we're a public
Yes, we're
library.
not.
Right, and my
Right.
point is
But
that
it's
as a
accept-
public library, there are things we do not do that private businesses do because we aren't allowed
Right.
because we're a public library.
But
Right.
if,
We don't allow people next door to plug into our electrical outlets.
No, we don't,
We
and
don't
that's-
allow that. What's the
No.
difference here?
if 20 people on the lawn log on to our Wi-Fi, does that slow down the signal inside the building for everybody else? It-
Yes.
It
Yeah,
does,
about
right?
20 people
Okay.
on one.
Yes.
So-
But that's okay
in
if they
order-
were here for that purpose. I mean,
Right, no, right,
yes,
all right,
but it's people across the street or sitting out in their car.
right,
we're
and
just
there's only
getting a
some,
free
some
ride.
things we
Got the
can't control.
Delicious
Yeah.
smell restaurant over here.
Yeah,
Sitting there using our Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Sure, I mean,
There's
and,
only
you
so
know,
much we're ever
our
gonna have
cell
control over.
phones, if you have one,
Yeah,
can latch on to the wireless
right.
that's available in the
Yeah, and it's
area.
actually not very good down
So.
here.
No, it's not.
We'll improve that.
It's
And
a
that's-
bigger
It's
part of
really
the
not,
project.
it's not right here in the building in
That's
the
a bigger
house.
problem.
That's
Yeah,
the
right,
other
it sounds-
problem that's easily
You can't get
fixed.
to the wireless right now after 8.
You
So
put it-
that's part of our
Right, there's-
that's part
Although
of
I
our
did notice the
development.
wire was fixed, so that was good work right there. I did notice, that was good.
Bernie helped out on that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Well, David did some research on all this stuff. I mean, we're looking
What?
into
Yeah, it's
that,
really lame.
setting up something for a splash screen, so at least you can have
Oh,
the
yes.
same thing that appears on
Yep.
the public terminals, wire terminals would appear, that's a separate thing, I know, but I'm just saying,
Oh, so like you would at a
so
hotel.
you would just get that
Right.
same, disclaimers and such, that this is to be used in such a way, and it would not only, no problem if you do something bad, it's not, again, that's a legal thing, what you're talking about security,
Yeah.
but I'm saying we've looked into that and the possibility of having people have to key in a card, I believe, right, or some way of having,
Key
Don't-
code that's posted.
or a
one-
code, right, or
Right. The only idea that I had was you don't get the password if you don't have a card within the system. So you have to show a card. Or
That
a
makes
proof
sense.
of
so
having
that's
a
the way
card.
we do it with our
Sure.
public terminals, so you
Right.
could set something like that up. right.
Sure.
But
That's no big deal.
So we're leaving it under the 1 to 4 year plan.
First
that-
year
I'm just-
plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's first
The
year
first
plan.
year.
leaving it.
Is there anything
Yes,
else
we
that
will.
we should include in that years 1 to 4? That we discussed and
Well,
I
is
did
it-
not put
I
it.
thought it was a
It was a 1-year plan and a
5-year
5-year plan. I don't
Well-
know if the 4 is,
But- We don't do anything in between.
well,
No.
next year we come up with
It's a
another
third-
1-year plan
It's
and everything's
second
geared
through
toward.
5th year.
Yeah, it's the 1-year, what do
Or
we
it could
want
be
to do?
something for the 5-year plan that you start in the first year,
Well,
but you
right,
complete
but
in-
like, next year we'll sit down for another 1-year plan, and then, eventually the 5-year stuff becomes part of, what's 5 years away now will eventually be 1 year away. And we do things in line with what we want to do, doing in 5 years.
One thing I was looking at about special district libraries,
Yes.
and I just glanced at it, but we should look and see about bonding for projects, because one of the libraries, I forget which one, cannot get a bond.
Oh, I see, it's,
So,
the school district can, but
Can.
maybe the other type can't.
right.
Ooh.
So,
That's an interesting
that's-
point.
Yeah, so
So
I'll find the
well,
information on that and send
Before,
it out.
because, well, it's not
Breakaway.
like we would just decide on Friday to be a school
No,
special
that's
district,
still-
and Monday we'd start that way. It's
Yeah,
a good point,
yeah.
and it's
If we-
if we ever get there.
Anticipate needing
Yeah,
a
that's an
bond.
excellent point to include in whatever it is we
Yeah.
do, to make sure that we're not cutting ourselves off from something important.
Yeah.
The answer to that, I think, is actually in the trustee handbooks that you guys have. There's a handy chart in there that has bonding
can do
authorities
what?
for each library type.
Oh, okay, good to know.
By the way, I just want to, you were right, but that figure was right. It's about 25, it's about 23,000.
Yeah.
After, I wasn't sure
Yeah.
when you first asked, I was.
That's a family plan.
Yeah,
That's
That sounds right,
for-
it's a lot of money.
That's the family plan, right?
That's not per person.
What
That's
constitutes,
for
what
family.
constitutes a
Family.
family?
That's an employee.
Husband,
20?
husband,
Husband and
or I
wife.
mean, a spouse, partner,
A
and,
spouse and partner.
and
Right.
children.
I don't think it even requires children for it to be a family plan.
So,
One would pay that.
What's that?
No, the,
district.
The library, we pay it
For
per
each
employee,
full-time.
for each family.
well, this is for family,
I
right?
thought we didn't do family.
We do.
We do, they contribute 25% of
Right.
that. If you work here and have the family coverage, the library pays $23,000 a year for your family to have insurance, and you pay 25% of it.
And if you opt out, the way some school districts will have,
We have, right, there's a sum
you
that's
can opt out, you
Yeah.
get
Your buyout.
10,000 or something.
40% of the,
So they get about
something like that, yeah.
That's,
$9,000.
and we
That's
should,
still a lot.
It is.
we should see if
still-
that's
That's
too
a big
high.
buyout.
Mhm.
Probably back in better times.
Yeah, insurance is really
Or you could find out
expensive.
what BOCES does there.
Now I got a question. I was just thinking about this, and if we are associated with the school district, then do we have the ability to use the Orange Ulster BOCES plan?
I asked one of the members on that committee, the finance committee of BOCES, and she said she'd get back to me, and I don't see her again until Thursday, so I'll, she said she'd ask for us.
I think the one person to talk to over there, possibly, who's the OU BOCES guru with our health plan,
Okay.
Terry Olivo. He's the one who
He's the head man.
Mhm.
he's the one who develops the plan. He's the one who would probably know. I don't know if you'd be able to get in touch with him, but
Okay.
it's it's more people you have in it.
Right.
The better. That's why all the school districts in the area. Plus, also New York State has a plan which is Empire. It's not, it's the Empire plan,
Okay.
and that's the New York State Employees Association plan. My wife, who's in Newburgh, that's who they use.
Okay.
The Empire plan.
Is that related to NISHIP? Is that a different?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
I just know that there's the Empire plan. There's the OU. We use the Orange Ulster BOCES plan
Okay.
under my district, and she gets her buyout, but the buyout is minimal. It's 10%.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, let's just wrap this up now. We're going to, Jim, you're going to put this all
I'm
in
gonna
the
try to
tables?
reformat it, yeah.
Okay, you're gonna use both documents and come up with something?
Let me do one, let me do this other, then we'll talk about this one, I guess.
Is there anything
That'll
anybody
be
else
enough.
wants to add to this before
Well, I
Jim starts
think that's
typing?
be a
The,
blended document?
It should be.
Well, this,
I think it's pretty close, if anything.
What's that?
Is this gonna be a blended document?
Eventually, yeah. Because
That's the-
it's,
No, you can just go through and cross off the ones that are duplicates.
right, and then
Yeah, or you
the
could
things
even
that
just
aren't, like the whole website online presence isn't mentioned.
so
each year.
everything that's in the first 2/3 of this page actually is year one,
Yes.
right? And then
Yes, and year 5,
yeah, down below is years 2 to 5.
pretty much.
Is that right?
No,
No?
it's,
Well,
well,
you're
we were looking at it as a
you're talking
1-year.
about Norman's, what
Yeah,
Norman,
Norman.
Right.
then direct it to Norman.
Is that what you had intended?
Yours is
Well,
by page.
Yeah, it's a
I
1-year
thought
plan
that
and a
this would-
5-year plan.
We're gonna
That's
accomplish
how I
all
thought.
these things in 1 year.
Yeah,
Try.
Okay.
we're gonna try. And what we don't accomplish, we put on to
That's
next
almost
year's
how you
1-year
break up the
plan.
document, Jim, by year.
Okay.
1
So
year.
there you go.
Next
And
year,
then a
we
5-year on the separate.
Whatever. I'm gonna get my house painted this year. It's not gonna- maybe I won't. All right, so then we'll deal with that at the next meeting? Or in between then and now?
Yeah, if there's any question as to whether it's duplicate, just put it on and
Yeah, I
and
mean,
we'll
it's
cross
not
it
like
off
we
in the
have
meeting.
to,
yeah.
Okay, now, new business. We rewrote this at the last meeting, so now I'm just going to read it the way we all agreed it's supposed to be for the formal purposes of then voting on it, approve it for new policy manual, okay? Okay, the purchasing policy, is this ringing a bell?
I just, no, I just,
You're
I,
just looking at me like you
no, no, no,
don't know
I do, but I just, from one meeting to the next, we do it verbally with you. It would be nice if maybe if we could get it as part of our packet so that we can see the before and then you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
just
I follow you.
It's,
Yeah.
because trying to rewind the tape to a month
We
ago.
had the before in front of
Yeah.
us last meeting. I think we each had a copy of it, and then we changed the amounts, remember?
Okay.
Okay.
I'll have to look.
All right, well, purchasing policy. Inasmuch as the budget is approved to provide for the day-to-day operations of the library, with major expenditures for equipment and services taken into consideration, and inasmuch as our major budget concern is that the total expenditure approved shall not be exceeded, and inasmuch as it is the duty of the director to develop the library budget, supervise the expenditure of library funds and the collection of library revenues, and administer grants. It is our policy that the director has discretion in authorizing expenditure of all funds allocated. Budget line modifications will be made in consultation with the treasurer and will be included in the monthly treasurer's report. Expenditures for services and equipment which will exceed the total approved budget allocation and will require the use of unanticipated revenue or unallocated fund balance must be presented to the board for their approval. Equipment not subject to government pricing and capital expenditures are subject to the following guidelines. Telephone, internet, or catalog quotes will be obtained for expenditures from $250 to $1,500. 3 written estimates, including internet or catalog pricing, will be obtained for expenditures between $1,500 and $7,500. A request for proposal will be submitted to at least 3 vendors for expenditures between $7,500 and $20,000. Formal advertised bidding will be implemented for expenditures over $20,000. For capital projects estimated to be $20,000 and over, labor and materials, we will solicit a minimum of 3 proposals using the following process. The Physical Resources Committee will define the project and will recommend contractors to contact where possible. Contractors will be contacted by phone. A written project description defining the project as a public works project will be mailed to interested parties requesting a proposal. Proposals will be reviewed with the use of checklists for contractors and references, see Appendix H. The Physical Resources Committee will review all proposals and present them to the board with the committee's recommendation. May I have a motion to accept the financial purchasing policy as amended?
So move.
Thank you. A second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ron. All in favor?
Alright.
All opposed? Thank you. And now the other thing?
Really just the amounts we changed.
Yeah,
That's all you
that's-
changed.
Yeah, we changed the amounts and we took out that they had to be local something.
Right.
Yes, right.
Right, but mostly that was changed now. This is our tutor policy, this is new, right?
The vote.
The vote was all in favor.
That's the amendment. That I read last time around, and everyone
Yes.
seemed to accept then, but we have to vote on it tonight, too.
Right, so this is just, we discussed this about the tutors, not being able to do,
Yeah.
okay, so now I have to read it so it's official. Due to space constraints, tutoring will only be permitted in the downstairs meeting room from 3 p.m. until closing, Monday through Saturday, and 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. on Sundays when no other program is scheduled. It is the tutor's responsibility to check the website calendar or contact the library for availability. The meeting room is a multi-use space, therefore quiet and privacy are not guaranteed. The library is not to be used as a classroom or office space, but as a safe workspace for students to receive instruction. Tutors may not publish or distribute advertisements or letters identifying the library as their place of business or imply library sponsorship of their activities. The library does not sponsor, recommend, or assume liability or responsibility for the work and/or activities of the tutors. Tutors and students must bring their own supplies. Tutors and students are expected to abide by the library's patron code of conduct and unattended child policies. Children under the age of 18 who are tutored in the library are the responsibility of the tutor while on library property until they are released to a parent or guardian. The director has final discretion as to whether the activity is tutoring and permissible under this policy. May I have a motion to accept tutor policy?
I have one question. I know I was in there, so just if it's in there, that there's, basically it says if there's a program going on here,
Mhm.
they don't have access to it.
Right,
Okay, all right.
okay,
I have another question.
yes.
There's no requirement that the tutor or the tutee be library members?
Oh, library patrons, you
Yeah,
mean?
library patrons.
Oh, no, I guess not.
No,
No,
I think we discussed that.
Yeah.
It wasn't required.
no.
Or I know it wasn't required to be part of the school district anyway. And hence, if they're not part of the school district, if it's outside of our school district, they're not going to be patrons
Right.
for the most part. So.
Right.
I'm just wondering, since it is, if you visualize this room with a couple of tutors and some students working it, I would hope that at least there are in our service area, but
Mm.
I don't know whether we should try to screen that or not.
Mm. Well, why don't we accept this as written and then amend it in the future after we
We can wait
explore that a
until
little
see if it's a
further?
problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if it becomes an issue,
Okay.
then,
I think if there's resources that are here for some reason that are not at a different library and they need to be here. I mean, if it's one thing if they're getting tutors in social studies or English, but if there's some reason
right,
why
they
they're
are
using our
just using
resources.
space.
Yeah.
Okay.
You mentioned that the tutor is responsible for the actions of the 18 or younger tutee.
Children under the age of 18 who are tutored in the library are the responsibility of the tutor while on library property until they are released to a parent or guardian.
It doesn't sound right, because you can come here without a parent. And
Right, but if you are here for the purpose of being tutored, you're the responsibility of the
Okay.
tutor.
Okay.
That's the thinking.
I was just wondering what's
Yeah, no,
normally
I
the
mean,
requirement. Okay.
So how does that read again?
Okay, shall I start over? All right, tutors and students are expected to abide by the library's patrons' code of conduct and unattended child policies. Children under the age of 18 who are tutored in the library are the responsibility of the tutor while on library property until they are released to a parent or guardian.
What if a kid comes here without a parent?
What is our unattended child policy right now? Do you know off the top of your head?
No, it's like, I think it's the cutoff is younger, but the reason that's in there is because often when you have we'll call it tutoring situations,
Mm-hmm.
different special needs, various issues at school, and the reason they're here is because, so we need some way of saying if this person wouldn't really be here unless they were
Okay.
with this adult,
Right.
and this
Okay.
adult has to take final responsibility
Right.
for
Right.
the actions of the person that,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thanks for the
just sort of a
background
Yeah.
information.
level.
The
Good.
tutor can't
Yeah,
leave
that sounds
the
good.
person here,
Right.
sitting up there and say, wait here for your mom to get,
Right,
to
exactly.
come pick you up. I mean, a
Right.
16-year-old can drive here and they get back in the
Right.
car and leave.
Right,
But a 12-year-old
but a 12-year-old
cannot.
cannot.
be left in the responsibility of the
Right.
library staff, waiting
Mhm.
for their parent to show up.
And of course, a 16-year-old, the tutor might leave.
Right, but that would be a different
The
issue.
16-year-old would stay, and
Right, but now we're getting nitpicky. So, I mean, 18 is a nice legal age for a lot of things, so 18 is a good cutoff,
okay.
okay? Now, may I have a motion to accept this policy, please? Oh, for heaven's sake.
Also move.
Thank you. Second, Norma, all in favor?
Aye.
Ah, there we go. All opposed, nobody, wonderful. Okay, now, the last thing under new business is we will need to vote on a budget in January. And so we need somebody to volunteer for a budget committee so that we have some sort of preliminary budget to look at the November meeting. Because we need November to decide what we want to do, December to, and January we're going to vote on it because we need, I forget, 45 days or more to, so we try to vote on a budget in January. So who would like to be part of the budget committee
I
to work
nominate
with?
Bernie too.
Yeah,
because
Bernie
he's-
should be
The
on
auditor?
it. Okay, so Bernie and Ryan,
Right.
Bernie and Ryan will be on the budget committee. Okay? Thank you very much,
I-
gentlemen, for volunteering.
Piece of unfinished business, old business, I
What?
have to mention.
So, with this committee, there would be still discussions with the whole board.
Absolutely.
Yes.
They're going to help
They're
them work up a budget. We're going to decide, we decide, they don't decide the
Oh,
budget.
okay.
They're going to work with
Gotcha.
Jack and Matt on, because Matt has a library to run and Jack is, so all together, they can get together and come up with a budget. You got it. Okay, so
Burn
it's
those
Ryan.
bills inside out.
Right, and he's been,
Yeah.
okay, thank you very much,
I
Sean.
just wanna see how it goes.
There you go.
I wanna see the inner workings.
Okay,
You can take
anything
over,
that-
you can take over the others, but
You're gonna be
position if I can.
I forgot to mention one thing, we re-upped the contract, you know this, with Debros for the snow plowing. They
Okay.
submitted a identical proposal as last time around.
Excellent.
Maybe this year they'll have to work, from what I hear.
We're supposed to be getting some snow this year, so.
Yeah, that's right, that's right.
So just,
Okay,
Okay.
anything else anyone want to discuss before I close the meeting?
Yeah, is there an inkling to move, like, next meeting is on Veterans Day, is it?
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Is there any inkling to change it to a different Monday?
Do you have something
have it-
going on Veterans Day that you don't want to hear from the meeting?
No, but I would have had a conflict today. It happened during this past month, and I made special effort to be here, so
Okay.
rather than burning a
Does
3-day
anyone have a
weekend.
problem with November 12th as our next meeting date?
Yeah.
Because it is getting kind of late, just because November's one of those months, you know. where
Oh, it'll
it's-
be butting against
it's-
Thanksgiving
it's
after that. Yeah.
The week before that is the election, the week after that I think is
Mm.
Thanksgiving, so it's just one of those,
Don't interfere with the election.
yeah. So the following week is Thanksgiving week,
Well,
so
the
it's, right, and then the next thing you know, we're coming up at the end of November and then it's December and, you know, so we'll have November's meeting 2 weeks before December's is kind of silly. So the choice is either to move it back a week to the 5th, the day before Election Day, or keep it on the 12th.
what do you have left Veterans Day?
It's November
Uh,
12th.
It's November 12th.
Well, it'll be celebrated on the 12th. I think
Yeah.
the 11th is the actual
The
holiday.
11th
actual
is the
day, yeah,
actual
that's
day,
what I'm
but
saying.
yeah, get Monday off.
Right, as long as nobody else
No,
is.
I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Does anyone
Okay.
else? Oh, so we'll just leave it for the 12th?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Privilege of the floor? Okay. So we're going to adjourn the meeting at 8:47 PM. We have all in favor? Thank you. Sorry, mate, I got ahead of myself. Make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:47 PM?
Make
Yeah.
that a motion.
And
Second.
Jim will second it, and everybody in favor? Yeah, well, sure. Thank you very much, and I'll
Have a good
see
night, everybody.
everybody on November 12th.
Oh,